My name is James Mamboleo. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, but I am now speaking from my home county, town of Nyamira, and I want to suggest very seriously that Nyamira people in their entirety should seriously consider supporting the BBI process for the simple reason that the presidentialist system that we adopted in the 2010 constitution was intended to bring representative administration of the people, but it has not achieved it in the 10 years that we have implemented it. The reason is simple. The constitution requires that any president who is elected must garner at least 50% plus one of the votes garnered across at least 24 counties of the Republic of Kenya. Now, that was intended to ensure that the president gets votes across the country. But in actual practice, what we have seen, especially from the 2012, 2013, and 2016-2017 electoral cycles, is that instead of this system bringing together all the tribes of the Republic of Kenya, it tends to bring together only about two big tribes of the Republic of Kenya. And when the steering committee that is leading the BBI exercise went around the country, the people felt that that system is not good, because when we get into an election and the first runners up probably garners about almost half of the country's votes, what happens is that the people who support him or her do not feel represented. And Kenyans feel that that person should be given some opportunity. So the BBI then proposes that once someone loses an election, they do not go away and vanish. They will be given a formal constitutional structure from which to create a check and a balance against the elected government. That's why BBI suggests that we create the office of leader of official opposition. And for purposes of ensuring that the executive at the national level at the top is more representative, the people suggested, and which is now a proposal in the BBI process, that we create two positions. First, the position of Prime Minister. A person who will fill this position will be appointed from a member of Parliament who is the leader of the party with a majority of votes in Parliament. And then number two, the position of deputy leader. Sorry, the deputy prime minister. Two positions of deputy prime minister. So the essence is that ultimately this executive has enough slots to accommodate various representatives from across the country. It may not get everybody on board, but at least it will be the best shot of bringing some of these people on board. Kenyans feel that they are represented when they see one of their own in government. Another important proposal that BBI is bringing on board is the question of the place from where cabinet ministers are appointed. Currently, you know, the current 2010 constitution creates the office of cabinet secretary of the Republic of Kenya, and it requires that cabinet secretaries cannot be in politics. Okay, so Kenyans felt that they would prefer the position of cabinet minister appointed from Parliament, and in those cases where we have extremely good people from the technocracy, probably some of them are also appointed from there. But the reason being that ultimately, when a member of Parliament is a cabinet minister, they seem to be a bit more responsive to the needs of the people. Kenyans have observed that in the last 10 during the implementation of the 2010 constitution, most of the cabinet secretaries that were appointed from various professions, from the technocracy, were not extremely responsive to the people, because they don't feel like they have a political constituency. So this, they felt, is something that they need to change, amongst many other things. So what is happening at the BBI process is basically to ensure greater representation of the people at the national level, and then greater representation of the people at at the local level. But one thing which is also important, which I need to add, is the question of resources to the counties. The counties have been crying for quite some time that they do not get sufficient money, especially to inject into developmental programs. As it is, the Constitution provides that the counties can receive a minimum of at least 15% from the national revenue, and Kenyan suggested that the counties be given at least 35% of the national revenue in accordance with the audited accounts of the previous financial year. So as we speak, we are looking at now an opportunity of counties receiving about 550 billion Kenya shillings, up from the 318, 316 that you saw our senators fighting over recently. So that's a good place to start, because counties have various functions that are underfunded, as a result of which many governors have been struggling. You know that many counties don't collect own revenue. Like for instance, my own county of Nyamira collects extremely low revenue, and because of that, then it's not able to finance or fund some of the programs that it needs to do. Now, BBI is a process that seeks to bring Kenyans together, and one of the reasons why this is so is because we have identified as experts in constitution making that every electoral cycle, just before election, there is normally a lot of tension. During the electioneering period, there's a lot of fear, and after elections, there's always violence. Now, because of that, every electoral cycle, we lose at least 2 years of economic process. And the economy goes down for at least 2 years. So out of every 5 years, we have only 3 years remaining for the economy to peak. Because of this cyclical downturn in the economy, it is estimated that from 1992, we have lost from our economy about 1 trillion Kenyan shillings. And ultimately, this problem of downturning the economy after every 5 years is what ultimately leads to unemployment. It's what ultimately leads to the many problems that we have. So it's extremely important that we have a reliable electoral system in which Kenyans don't go to fight every 5 years when they go to elect their leaders, as a result of which investors would come, we would attract foreign direct investment, will ensure that everybody does something that helps them. I think that way, if you looked at it that way, you would then have good reason to support BBI.